Monday, everybody. It's Thanksgiving week, and we're getting ready for a great week. Some time off. We actually are going to be shooting the next couple of days just to get everything ready so that we can take a few days off for Thanksgiving, and we're starting to get prepared and doing all our stuff for family. Man, I was just looking before we came on air today at the new Instant Family movie with Mark Wahlberg. It looks excellent. They're going to become foster parents in this movie, and it kind of goes through stuff. And I was watching it, and man, we've been through some of this stuff, so it looks pretty realistic as well. Looks like it's going to be a good film, and we're going to give you more information on that as it becomes available. Instant Family. It's coming to theaters soon whenever trailers are out. It looks really, really good. So today we're going to be talking about rights. As foster parents, you have rights. Your foster children have rights. The state has rights. And the bio parents have rights. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about rights today and what your rights are, what the kids' rights are, and explaining those and going through that a little bit and giving you a good idea of what that might look for when you're fostering. One of the things that kind of irks me about being a foster parent is the state has an attorney that represents them and represents them on each individual case. The foster child has an attorney which is called a guardian ad litem, so a GAL. You'll hear that a lot in your FST meetings. A lot of times the GAL will come to different meetings and things like that as well. So the child is represented by a GAL. The parents also have an attorney that represents them in their case, and if the parents are split up, they have two separate attorneys, or if they're together, they have an attorney as well. The only person that does not have a state-appointed attorney or an attorney to represent them is the foster family. So for instance, we had a problem with our licensing agency about a month ago, and they were doing some things and were in the news, and we were just really kind of disappointed, and we didn't want to be licensed with them, and we were trying to move our license back to the state that we're in and to be licensed there. And the agency that we're licensed with, we thought that they were being even a little shady with us and were doing things not correctly, so we had to hire an attorney. And it cost us several $100s just have this attorney come to make sure that we were being treated fair and to kind of be the go-between between our licensing agency and us and coming to an agreement. And so even though this was something, you know, we weren't trying to cause problems, we were just very uncomfortable with some of the charges that had been launched against this company, and they're holding our license. We were the ones that had to pay the attorney to make sure that we were represented correctly and not taken advantage of and were treated fairly. And I don't know that that sets real well with me. And I think as foster parents, you understand why is everybody else represented except for the foster parents? They have to go out and find their own representation. And shouldn't we be represented just like everybody else, like the rest of the team? But today we're going to be going through your rights as foster parents, foster child's rights, bio parents' rights, and the state rights. I think you'll find it interesting. It's all coming up right after these messages on Foster Life. See you in a minute. Foster Life. Today we are exploring the rights of foster parents, the rights of foster children, and the rights of bio parents. And everybody has rights when it comes to these little treasures that we take into our home. So I think it's important to first go over what our responsibility is as foster parents. Really, it's pretty much the same as if these were your children. You have the ability to speak to the doctor, to the teacher, to the school, to make decisions on behalf of that child. However, when we actually look at the custody of the child is in the state's custody, not in our custody. And so that child belongs to the state, but the state is entrusting us to act on that child's behalf. So here are your rights as a foster parent. So first, to be treated with dignity, respect as a member of the child's professional welfare team. So, and I think that pretty much speaks for itself. And you are a part of that team, and you can attend any FST meetings, any type of meetings, court hearings, anything like that you should be informed of and can be a part of if you so wish to be. And should be heard in those meetings as well. Receive proper training and continuing support for the foster team. So that means that your licensing worker is going to give you opportunities to be trained and to receive training in order for that child and also for your license. But also that training is free. They have to provide that training for you. So if you're taking a CPR class and they tell you it's going to be $100, no, it's not going to be $100. The state needs to take care of that, or your licensing agency needs to take care of that, because that's a required training. And also, we are to receive proper training and support that we need. Receive notice of placement department plans or court proceedings affecting the child's placement. So always make sure that your caseworkers are communicating with you. If there is any proceedings as to the child, where it's going to be placed, you're invited to all of those. For instance, we took in a child that was an emergency placement, and here in our state, an emergency placement is for 30 days. And then they decided that this individual would go to residential when he left, and we really felt like, and his therapist felt like, and everybody felt like that was probably not a good placement for him, that's probably not what he needed. And so we had the ability to appeal that through the court system and to work with the judge, but we were a key part of that because he was placed in our home. Refuse a child's placement in the foster home or request the removal of a child from the foster home without reprisal. And so basically that means that when a caseworker calls you and says, hey, I got a 14-year-old girl that we would like to place in your home, we think you'd be a good fit, and you ask all your questions and you decide, no, I don't think it's going to work out for us. I don't think that's what we want to do. That's your right as a foster parent. Nobody can make you take a child. In addition to that, you have the right to 30-day a child as well. So if a child is in your home and maybe they're just not clicking, they're not a good part of the family dynamic, you feel like you've exhausted everything that you could do to make it a positive environment for the child, and things just are not working out, you can give 30 days notice, and within 30 days the state has to have that child removed, and they cannot hold prejudice against you for asking for the child to be removed. Now, I have had caseworkers that have said to other families you're just giving up on them, or kind of trying to put the guilt trip on the foster family. And here's my response back to the worker. If you truly feel that way, then you need to come up with a plan, and you need to take them into your home. And I don't think many workers are willing to do that. Don't let them put the guilt trip on you. If that child is not succeeding in your care, if you've exhausted all of your tricks, and it's time for that child to move on, put in a notice. And don't let them guilt you into it. That's not what this is about. Really, if you look at it, we are volunteers. For what we get paid for reimbursements, because we don't get paid a salary, we get paid reimbursements. And for what we get paid, nobody should be able to tell us who we can have, who we can't have, who we need to take, who we shouldn't take, all of that. That needs to be a family decision. When we come back, we're going to go through the other rights that you have. Life. It's Monday. Oh, Mondays are always hard after having this great weekend with your family, and then you gotta go back to the grind. I hope that our time together is enjoyable today, and I hope that it's a relaxing time and that you're learning some things. We're talking about rights. The rights of a foster parent, the child rights, and then the bio parent's rights. And we're kind of breaking that all down and shredding it apart and talking about it so that we understand the rights that everybody has when we're fostering, which I think is really, really, really important. So you have the right to a timely and adequate financial reimbursement. Basically, what that means is your monthly reimbursement that you get needs to come in a timely manner. And then anything else like your mileage that you turn in, if you do respite that you turn in, that needs to come in a timely manner. Here's how I address this. Never had a problem with our monthly reimbursement in 5 years. Not had a problem. I have, however, had a problem with my mileage and my respite reimbursements coming in a timely manner. And here's what I say. I do a collection call just like you would on a normal business, and I say, hey, I turned this in 30 days ago. We still have not been paid on it. And when the worker says, oh, it got lost on my desk, or I was on vacation and blah, 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 and I didn't get to it, here's what I say to them. So if you don't receive your paycheck on Friday, and your boss came to you and said, oh, I was on vacation, it got lost on my desk, I just got it turned in, you're going to get it eventually. You're totally cool with that. And that's all it takes. And usually that mileage reimbursement or that reimbursement for respite will come right away, because then they finally get it. We don't work for free. We do, because we don't get a salary. But our reimbursements, we pay for this stuff out of our pockets, and those reimbursements need to come in a timely manner. Communicate with any other professionals working with the foster child, like therapists, physicians, teachers, that type of thing. That's your right. If your child has problems in school, you call the teacher. You can see what their grades are, see what's going on in class. whatever. If you go to the psychiatrist and they're struggling in school, you can say, hey, the teacher says they're staring off, da-da-da-da-da, well, they told me this. It's your right to have that information from those people. So you don't have to get permission from the state to talk to those people. That's part of your rights. A fair and timely investigation and injunction process regarding foster home complaints, as well as the ability for them to lodge their own complaints. So if you are hotlined, that's basically saying that that has to be fair and timely. So you get hotline on a child. The child tells the school counselor that you beat them, and that's hotlined. They cannot drag that on for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. It has to be either investigated or dropped within a timely manner. You have to be informed about it, but also you have the right to give your story. And also, if that child has done anything, say you don't beat him, but he's mad because he did thousands of dollars of damage to your home, then at that time, you have the right to show that as well. So that kind of goes through that in your rights. And I'm going to be honest with you, even really good foster homes, you're going to get hotlined. These kids make up stuff. They'll say things. They'll say little bits and pieces, and we're already under a microscope anyway, or in a fishbowl anyway, because we're foster parents. So just kind of get that in your mind, that you're going to be hotlined, but you know that it's got to be taken care of in a fair and timely manner. And then lastly is the priority consideration if when the foster child becomes available for adoption. So if you've had this child in your home for most of the time that they've been in custody, I believe in our state it's more than 6 months, you should be considered first for the placement for adoption when TPR happens. TPR, termination of parental rights. So when termination of parental rights is happening, you should be the first person or the first home that they consider for adoption. And that's your right. These are some of the things, we're talking about rights today. If you need more information on it, you can Google it. That's what I did. And there's lots and lots of articles about your rights and the things that they need to do in order to help serve you. And a lot of your questions can be answered if you need an attorney by getting an attorney that deals with family matters, like a divorce attorney, an adoption attorney, someone like that. And that's what we got, was an attorney that dealt with family matters, and he took really good care of us. He understood where we were coming from, and he was a really good advocate for our family and for our kids. When we come back after this, we're going to be talking all about the child and their rights right here on Foster Life.
Hi folks, it's Mama T here with Mama T's Cooking Big. Join us for the Foster Christmas Challenge.
Back to Foster Life. Boy, it is cold. Cold, cold. It seems like we just skipped fall and went right into winter. It's just been kind of chilly here. But today we are talking about rights. Foster parents' rights, foster youth rights, bio parents' rights. We are heading into the foster youth rights. Here's what they are. Let's break them down for you, and we'll go through them. The right to be protected from abuse, neglect, or other maltreatment in a foster home, group home, and other placements. So they have the right to be protected from abuse and neglect, which I think all of us get that. I hate that we have homes and group homes that we have to really spell this out, but if you suspect anything, a child comes to your home from another foster home or another group home, and you suspect that they were neglected or abused in any way, it is your job, folks, to hotline. It's your job. We take on that promise when we become foster parents, and it's your job to make that hotline. The right to adequate food, clothing, and shelter. We don't cage kids in rooms. We don't hold food from them. If you're naughty, you can't have dinner. We don't do that. And they have the right to adequate food, clothing, and shelter. The right to an appropriate and stable placement. That's pretty easy. The home has to be appropriate, and appropriate things need to be going on in that home, and it needs to be stable for them. If you're running here and running there and doing this and doing that, and they're being left with grandma 90% of the time, and then on the weekends they're going somewhere else, that's not stable. And they have that right to a stable placement and an environment. They have the right to regular medical, dental, and any other necessary mental services. It's real easy. As foster parents, every year I book the physicals, the dentist appointments, the eye appointments, all in the same 2 weeks for all my kids. Boom, boom, boom. And we have lots of kids, and most places will work for us. Our doctor, she slates out the whole afternoon just to see my kids and to get them ready. So just make those appointments and get them on track, but they have the right to all of those health services because we want to make sure that they're healthy, they're good, and if there is any type of problem or situation, that we're on top of it while they're in care. Let's see. They have the right to needed development and education services. So you take in Patricia. Patricia has been expelled from school because she threatened that she was going to bomb her last school. Patricia still has the right to a free education. Now, they might say to you, Patricia can't come to our school. Okay, so how are we going to educate Patricia? Patricia has the right to a free education. She also has a right to developmental services. So if she has a mental illness, nobody can refuse her because of her mental illness. And she has that right for services for her mental illness as well. The right to case plan services and a permanent home. So basically what this is saying is they have the right to have a case plan. Is there case plan reunification? Is there case plan adoption? Is there case plan independent living? And whatever that case plan is, then that needs to be a stable, secure environment so that they're not being moved around all the time. Now, I know sometimes they get moved around a lot because they'll go to a foster home and they're 30 days and they're 30 days and they're 30 days, but they do have the right to try to get a stable placement and also to know what their case plan is. We're going to go through more of their rights when we come back after these messages. Get involved with the Foster Christmas Challenge. We'll be back in a minute.
Listen up, it's Mama T here. Guess what? Look for Mama T's Cooking Big only on Foster TV, coming to you in January 9th of 2019. Ciao, baby.
Welcome back. We're talking about rights today. Foster parent rights, foster children rights, and the bio parents' rights. When we take these little bundles of joy into our home, they all have rights. We all have rights. And so we're kind of mulling through those scraping away and seeing what those rights are. We're talking about our youth. What are the youth rights? And next, the right to not deteriorate while in state's custody. If you have a child and they're not succeeding in your home, that's not necessarily you. That's not necessarily your family, but they have the right not to deteriorate in state's custody. If they're really, really depressed and suicidal and you can't get them out of their funk, you need to remember they have the right not to deteriorate while they're in state's custody. So you want to do everything that you can in your power to make sure that they're blooming and blossoming and that they're doing well. That might mean that they need to go to a mental facility for a while because their depression is that bad and that they need to get medicine and they need to get that adjusted. Does that mean that that child can't come back to you? Heck no. If that child loves you and cares about you, or that child likes being in your home and you like having them, I'm pretty darn sure that the state's going to put that child back in your home. But our goal as foster parents is to make sure that they are protected by their rights, and we cannot let them deteriorate while being in state's custody. We're doing more harm to them if we just let it kind of go on and we beat ourselves up that, oh, we're not good parents and that's why they're having this and that. No, they've had a lot go on. And this is just kind of a bump for this week. Come back on Wednesday. Courtney's going to be here. Courtney Lavelle, that real smart gal that we had. She's going to be on the show, and we're going to be talking about investigations. And that'll give you kind of a peek as to why maybe they're depressed. Because that's a process. And it's not a real fun process to go through. Imagine being taken away from your family, and I don't care how neglected, how abused they were. That's still a hard process. They're being taken away from their family. So we want to make sure that they're not deteriorating while they're in state's custody. The right not to be discriminated against. This is big. If they call you and they have a gay child that they want to place in your home, or a transsexual child, and you don't believe that's right, and you think, but I'm going to take them in because I'm going to change them, don't. That's discrimination. And we don't discriminate against these children. We don't judge them. We don't go out and we don't tell their story. If they want to tell their story, they'll tell it. It's your job to protect them and to make sure that they're not being discriminated against. If you take a child in who's acted out sexually with other kids, other than officials that need to know, like obviously I would think the school would need to know that. Obviously I would think the therapist would need to know that. Obviously I would think the doctor needs to know that. But does the neighbor, Matt, next door need to know that? Absolutely not. We cannot judge or discriminate against these children that are in care. And it does huge damage. Each one of my children, even when I'm talking to a doctor, if they're in foster care or if they're my child, I will say to them, Robert, I think I need to share part of your story. Are you okay if I talk to Dr. Victoria about this? And if Robert says no, then me and Robert will have a conversation later and I'll tell him why I think it's important, but we're not going to push the issue. We got to have respect, and we can't judge until we've walked a mile, 2 miles, 10 miles, 100 miles in their shoes. Who are we to judge? One. And it's not our place to tell their story. It's their story. This one probably gets me the most. because I see in certain situations when I take my kids to things, people discriminating and judging. One of the kids in my house is 19 years old. Great kid. Beautiful. Huge heart. Has tattoos everywhere. You've probably seen him on the show before. And people discriminate. They think that he has to be using drugs and being up to no good and da-da-da-da-da. And I'll tell you what, he's lived with me for a long while. He's clean. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't do any of that. He's not out having sex orgies with girls and all of that stuff. He's a good part of our family. But you got to protect him. You got to let people know that it's not okay. And sometimes people will ask, that people are gutsy. I'm going to tell you, people are gutsy. And they'll say, oh, why is so-and-so in your care? Oh, what happened? And I just tell them, it's none of your business. I just frank with them. And that might sound rude, but it is. It's none of their business. Plain and simple. When we come back, we're going to talk about bio parents and their rights right here on Foster Life. We're keeping it real.
Join our Foster Christmas Challenge. It's easy.
Share this video to your Facebook page and go shopping for kids 0 to 19 years old.
Then take a picture or a short video and post it on the Foster TV fan page. And then drop it off at a local social services or a DFS office.
I'm just your
That's it. Don't forget to challenge your friends.
Merry
Christmas!
We're single.
Not me.
Not me either.
Talking about rights. We've already talked about foster parents' rights, foster children's rights, and now we're going to talk about the bio family's rights. First of all, the bio family has the right to an attorney, and if they cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to them by the court. They have the right to be present and to participate in all court hearings, FST meetings, any of these meetings that take place while the child is in care. They have the right to attend all of those meetings and to be a part of that. You have the right to understand what you need to do in order to get your child home and to back with you. You will have a plan, or the bio family will have a plan of what they need to do. So maybe it's you need to go to rehab. You need to have so many hours with the therapist. You need to have a job. You need to have a stable home. Everybody has the right, or the bio parents have the right, or the birth parents have the right to know what the plan is, what they have to do in order to get that child home and back with them. You have the right to examine all court documents. So any court documents that are taken in, the investigation, all of that stuff, you have the right to see any of those things during your process. Now, we're going to talk about the bio parents' responsibilities as well. Not only their rights, but they also have rights and responsibilities. And so I want to kind of touch on those responsibilities as well while we're going through the rights. So we just went through the bio parents' rights. Here are their responsibilities. Visit your child as soon as possible. This is hard for the child. And we really, as foster parents, should encourage, or kinship parents should encourage those visits to happen right away. I try to have it done within a couple of days of them coming into our home to have a visit. And for me, it makes the transition just a little bit more smoother. Do your best to be a good parent and to provide a safe home for your child. So if the child's been taken away and you're good foster parent who's working with the bio family or the birth family, encourage them to create a safe home environment. What are the things that need to change in order for this home to be a safer environment for your child? And that's their responsibility. To cooperate with DFS caseworkers, and to follow the service plan. That's their responsibility. So they work with the caseworker. The caseworker gives them the plan. They got to go to rehab. They got to go to counseling. That's their responsibility. They need to work that plan in order to get that child back. To make sure that your attorney and caseworker always have your updated address and phone number. Whew! If you get a text from the birth parent and it says, hey, this is my new number, text me when our next visit is, I always text back. Make sure the caseworker and your attorney have your new number. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm moving back in with my mom. Hey, make sure that your caseworker and attorney have your new address. That's their responsibility. And sometimes these parents just kind of fall off the face of the earth and then they come back, but it's their responsibility to give numbers and addresses. It's not the caseworker's job and the attorney's job to go play investigator and try to find these parents. To attend all court dates and to be on time, dress appropriately, and treat the judge with respect. This is another thing that we can do to encourage bio parents. It doesn't matter how poor they are. They might not have anything. But you can always find something appropriate for them to wear. And we work a lot with our birth parents. We do. And you might be listening to this going, man, that's not a road I want to go down. Makes the process a lot easier. It really does. Every kid that we've adopted, the parents wanted us to adopt them. Ask us when they terminated rights, hey, will you adopt them? You know? Why are we doing it? I'm not doing it just solely for the kids. I'm doing it to make a difference. So we work with the bio parents. Help them prepare for court. Help them to prepare to be on time. It's their job to be on time for visits, meetings, court. And you can help with that process if that's the kind of foster parent you are. Tell your attorney if you have serious problems with your caseworker. Tell your attorney if you have serious problems with anyone in your service plan. So your caseworker maybe is being kind of judgmental, maybe whatever. The bio parents have a right to tell their attorney that the caseworker's not working out for them. They can't see eye to eye. And the attorney should take care of that for them. That's their responsibility to communicate. And then on the flip side, if there's anybody on the team, because you have your juvenile officer, you have your caseworker, you have the caseworker supervisor, you have the foster parents, you have the bio parents, you have the licensing worker. So you have all these people that are on this team. If one of those people are not working, or you feel like one of those people are discriminating or whatever, it's that bio parent's right to tell the attorney so that they can get that fixed. Yeah, they had a rough road. Yeah, they made some mistakes. But our number one goal is always reunification. We gotta set these parents up for success, so it's important for us to know what their rights are and what their responsibilities are, because we're setting them up for success. The goal is reunification, always. And then stay informed in your case at all times. And I see this a lot with bio and birth parents. They just wait until they're contacted. Well, nobody told me. Nobody said. Encourage them. Stay involved, stay connected, know everything about your case, know what's going on, know what's happening with the child while they're in care, and encourage them to do that. I tell my moms all the time, hey, so-and-so's got a doctor's appointment next week, are you going to meet me there? Well, if the goal is reunification, that parent needs to be at the doctor's appointment, because if they have some type of illness or disease or something like that, I want them to be educated. I want them to know what's going on. Be involved in the case. And lastly, for the state, when it comes down to it, they are the person who has custody of the child. What they say goes. That doesn't mean that sometimes we don't disagree and we have to appeal things or whatever. But in all three of these situations, and then lastly, the state and all of us should always be doing what's in the best interest of the child. If reunification isn't in the best interest of the child, and you know things that have gone on in that home, and the plan isn't working, and they're not doing it, and they're not fulfilling it, but the state doesn't see it that way, you need to make your voice heard. That's your job too. Always do what's in best interest of the child. Reunification first. And if reunification can't happen, adoption. It's real simple. I hope today that you've learned something new about your rights, the child's rights, or the bio parent's rights and responsibilities. We're just trying to bring good information so that we're more educated, so that we can make this process a little bit easier for us, because folks, in reality, we're volunteers and we're doing a mission. And a lot of us don't have backgrounds in this. I don't have a caseworker's background. I have no background in child, nothing. But I had to read, and I had to learn, and I had to do. And we're hoping that shows like this will help you to understand, to make that process a little more smoother. I am so glad that you joined us today on Foster Life. Happy Monday to you. I hope you have an amazing week. Coming up Wednesday. I'm so excited about Wednesday, because we're going to be talking about investigations from the time they get the hotline till the child is placed in a foster home. How that whole process works. And I think it's going to be really interesting, and I think it's going to be very informative to us. And I think for me, it'll help me to understand kind of what my kids have gone through before they got to my home. And that's coming up on Wednesday. Get involved with the Foster Christmas Challenge. We are trying to recruit 10,000 families coast to coast to donate gifts for Christmas for kids in care. It is so simple. Rob Foster Life. Today, if you watch the show, I challenged Kathy Bailey of Bailey and the Boys, Georgette Jones, and Maria to get involved with the Foster Christmas Challenge. It's so simple to get involved. All you gotta do is share this video right here. Once you've done that, go shopping for 0 to 19 years old, and you can get anything. You can get one thing, 100 things, 2 things, whatever your little heart desires. After that, take a picture or a short video with your contribution and put it on the Foster TV Facebook page. We committed to 10,000 families getting behind these foster kids at Christmas, and that keeps me accountable. After that, take it to your local DFS or Family Services office and they'll make sure that they get to the foster children in your area. It's so simple. They go back to Facebook and challenge 3 family or friends to get involved with the Foster Christmas Challenge. Only on Foster TV.